Are we ready?
Hi, I'm Wren.
I'm Angeline.
And this is
Operation Tomatometer.
If you haven't been kidnapped by the underwater Talokian people like Nameera, then you've heard about the MCU's newest addition to the universe, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever follows the events after the death of King T'Challa. Queen Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their beloved nation from Mesoamerican underwater descendants of Namora and the Talokan people. When America demands access to all-powerful vibranium, Wakanda's most valuable resource, our heroes must step up to the plate and pave a new way forward for Wakanda.
Now let's jump into the episode.
I'm gonna let you lead into it because I feel like you're
Sure.
like the big Marvel.
I am a Marvel
fan.
So I really liked this addition to the cinematic universe. I thought it was one of the best movies out of Phase 4. Maybe only second to No Way Home, because I am a Spider-Man fan. I thought the focus on Shuri being such an independent woman who could overcome all of this trauma and still be a leader of the nation was a really strong message, and I think they did that really well.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I've always kind of thought that superhero movies are very formulaic, and I think this one still is. We still follow.
But that's what makes it good.
Really? How?
People love superhero movies because they feel connected to it, but it's also uplifting. And this one, after the death of Chadwick Boseman, the MCU needed an uplift, and it was successful, in my opinion.
I think it was just, I don't know, it felt akin to every other MCU movie, but it was good. I can't say that I didn't enjoy it. It's not something that I dislike necessarily, because the formula works. That's why they do it over and over again, because it works, you know. Troubled superhero from the start, death of family, you know, and then getting over it, and then at the end they have to decide between their morals, you know, if they want to kill the bad guy or not.
Sure.
Right? I don't know. It was formulaic to me, but I also did enjoy it. I think what made it great for me was definitely the dialogue. I liked it. The banter.
Yeah. I want to bring up that my mom hates Marvel movies, but this one she loved. And I think it really has to do with seeing it in the theater, because people were like screaming and yelling, and it felt so good, especially after COVID and not being in the movie theaters that much.
Oh, that must have been really nice, actually.
Where did you see it in the theater?
No.
Where did you see it?
On a website.
Please.
On a website?
Okay. Well.
And let's say on this website, right?
Anyway.
Hold on. Can I just detour really quick? On this
Sure.
website, when I was watching it, you could hear the guy eat the popcorn because he was recording. You hear the guy laugh. Okay, sorry.
Let's get back. Okay, so I thought in the movie theater you could see how passionate the fans were.
Yeah. That
And
must have been truly a riveting experience. Like, I'm so serious.
It was great.
Yeah, I missed that movie theater experience. Like, last time I was in the theater, I really remember, is Endgame, and that experience was so wonderful. So, yeah.
I didn't get into the MCU until after the release of Endgame, but for some reason I did go and see Endgame. So, it was great.
But yeah, the spirit of the theater definitely revived. Wonderful. There was this one line in particular that I thought, okay, so I saw this meme the other day, right? That was like, MCU movies, like Marvel movies are just 3 hours of like US military propaganda and one-liners. And I'm not so sure definitely not the US military propaganda in this one. But I think it was definitely like
One-liners?
One-liners.
Totally. The one that comes to mind is the bald-headed demon.
The bald-headed demon?
And then everyone in the audience started like laughing and saying it, and it was so funny. And now I feel like that was such a memorable line that if you know someone who's watched the movie, they know that line.
Right. I also think that, but I feel like one that felt forced to me was one that's like, when Shuri first wants to go on the mission, right? So she says, I want to see my favorite my favorite colonizer.
Ross. Yes.
My favorite colonizer. And I feel like Marvel's trying to appeal to like the younger, like us, you know, because like it's kind of like a slangish, you know, term, right? Like colonize. I don't know, but you know, it's kind of a slangish term there, and so they're definitely trying to go like, oh, we're hip, we're young, guys, Shuri speaks to the youngins, and then they cut to, and I was like, I groaned a little, but.
There's also Riri, who is the next Iron Man. I think her name is Ironheart. Also said a few lines when they first went to see her in her college dorm that I thought was very Gen Z. And I feel like in film right now, it's very apparent. Like, have you seen the new Wednesday series?
Oh, yeah.
There are so many lines that's like, have you seen it on TikTok? And it's like,
God,
what?
this isn't how you connect with, like, the teens. It's so forced. It's like this, like, I can almost see the group of, like, middle-aged, like, men writing, and guys, now we're gonna write TikTok. Like,
yeah. No, definitely. So I did see the cringe in that, but I mean, they're trying.
Yeah, I guess so. And it wasn't as bad as Wednesday, I think.
Oh no, Wednesday was like, there were quite a few of those instances. Maybe a future episode. I think we should talk about like the cinematography and just like the music.
Oh, the music. The music was wonderful.
I found a little Easter egg.
Oh.
So Chadwick Boseman, so since his death, T'Challa's theme in the first movie, you know how every superhero has a piece of composition that like they use whenever they're on screen. So T'Challa's is basically only used in the beginning of Wakanda Forever. However, like in Shuri's theme after she becomes Black Panther, you can hear a little bit of like a reference to it. My God. And I love that little detail.
Oh, that's so nice. That's actually so wonderful.
I don't think I caught it when I actually was watching it, but I just looked it up and like that's awesome.
I feel like soundtrack is passive in most films. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you don't really, especially superhero films.
Yeah, you don't really notice because you're used to like the trumpets.
Except for like the big battle songs. Like I think everybody knows. For example, like the Avengers Endgame, like final battle song. Yeah. Like you can picture it in your head.
Yeah, I got it down. But I don't know. And this, like when they explore that underwater city. Yeah. The wonder that the music brings is genuinely, like, that was crazy.
Totally. And with Shuri and, like, the big suit.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
It was great. Let's talk about the inclusion of the Tolokan people, the Mesoamericans who live under the water.
Yeah, I thought their city, like, again, going back to the music, the soundtrack, like, the introduction of their city was beautiful. That moment when Shuri passed by those two people and they were, like, waving at her, wonderful, so cute.
Especially since she's an outsider, and they probably don't see outsiders that much. Which I think that also connects to the inclusion of the backstory of the encomienda system that they show.
Oh, right, Namor. Yeah. You know what? I think Marvel's been getting a lot better at, including these, like, morally gray villains that aren't just black and white. It's just like, oh, I steal money because I'm greedy.
That are appealing to the audience.
Right,
it makes you, like, kind of root for them in a way sometimes.
Like, you don't want anything bad necessarily to happen to them because at the end of the day, you have a soft spot.
Yeah.
Empathetic towards the characters. But I was a little confused because remember when Namor and Shuri were sitting by the water and they were having that conversation with each other? I felt like they had a connection, no? Like when she was talking about the death of her brother and he was like, like just consoling her.
Wasn't it that...
Right, and then he kind of threatened the nation.
Yeah.
But I still felt like... I know, but I still felt like during that time when she was talking about, like, the death, like, and he was just telling, my ancestors, they were, like, exchanging, like, words of, like, ancestors.
Yeah, but honestly, like, Shuri and the Wakandan people had something to do with, like, the villainry in this movie. Like, I don't think Riri should have been killed, but that's what the Tolokan wanted for the protection and saving of their nation.
Right.
Riri was able to get the U.S. vibranium, and they would have gotten super strong, and like we probably would have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe would have had like a World War III.
Right. Have to clarify that definitely.
Yeah.
But I see that, but I don't know. I just don't get why. like there's such an emphasis on like death and suffering, and then
That's all of Phase 4. All of Phase 4 has seemed to be about
death
and suffering
But I wish there was like
of beloved characters.
right, but I also wish that Marvel like knew that like death isn't the only way to end a character.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
it seems like there is like, what other characters can you think of off the top of your head that haven't been out of the MCU because they died?
right, it's just death isn't
Like
even an
none
end
of
character.
them.
Right, death isn't the most tragic thing. Death isn't like there's better ways to retire.
They can
characters.
retire.
They
Like
can live on
Iron
a
Man
farm.
was going to. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean there. All right. I want to compare this to like, cause they're both sequels that we've reviewed. Love and Thunder.
So I think this was a much better
Oh my
sequel.
gosh, so much better.
Much better.
Mhm,
But
definitely.
Thor, okay, Love and Thunder was the 4th movie in that franchise. This is only the 2nd movie, which I feel like Marvel's had a worse time with second movies. We can, from Iron Man 2 to Thor the Dark World, like, they're not great all the time. I think the only one that comes to mind that I loved more than the original was Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
So, I feel like in the terms of like this compared to other Marvel movies, it was a great movie.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, even though I know what's going on behind the scenes, like, I feel like it's hard to separate the fact that it's just so interlaced with, like,
Yeah.
they know something works, so they're gonna beat it with a stick until it drops out like candy.
But I also feel like it wasn't really a sequel movie. Like, the main character,
Changes.
T'Challa, turned into someone else, and with that, a female, which has only been done one other time in the MCU.
Right, but I still feel like it has this, like... Oh, right. But I still feel like it's more connected than Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder, what I didn't like about it
Definitely.
was that it seemed like this goofball, like, of a character. Like, there was just this... I don't know. It was just so disconnected from the world of Thor and the MCU. But this movie, it belonged in the same universe, the same characters. The history, like, mattered. It mattered.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what made a much better movie.
Yeah, I loved it.
Do we want to talk about Shuri's, like, independence, like,
Sure.
the feminist?
Shuri in the first movie was very
Goofball.
teenage rebellion. She didn't really follow the orders of her mother, the queen, or take inspiration from her brother. I think this was definitely character development for her in that sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree as well. I don't know, I think it's always something when, like, the goofy character or, like, the
Starts
comic
becoming
relief,
serious.
right, like, darkens, like, you see them, like, go through, and I don't know who plays Shuri. I don't know the character,
Oh, what's her
actor's name.
Letitia Wright.
Right, Letitia, she's, like, the range of emotions she's able to play, like, is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, when she gets serious, you feel this, seriousness, and she can still be light. She can still have those, like, comedic one-liners, and it still works.
Yeah, especially since this was one of the most death-heavy movies in the MCU to
Right.
date. Maybe like, aside from Infinity War and Endgame, we had 2 funerals of people that were
Right.
super close with the
Right.
main character.
Right.
And they were both beautiful. Like, that first scene with the dancing when they were all in the white, like, that was gorgeous cinematography.
Right. Do you want to give it a score?
Oh my god, I forgot we had to give a score.
I think you should give a score
I'm so
'cause
into this
you're
movie.
the Marvel.
Yeah. So, this movie would definitely be on my top 10 MCU out of 30, which is pretty good. I would give it a 94 in my opinion.
Wow, that is crazy. We're still gonna be friends after this, right? Like,
What is
if
yours?
Okay, so I think I gave Thor 85.
We gave Thor like a 70.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, because I'm gonna give this an 88.
Can you explain why to me?
Okay.
That's not that much of a difference.
Right. No, it's like 18 points higher than a 70.
Yeah, no, but I mean between my score and your score.
I think I just go down because it's just formulaic.
Sure.
It's just cliche formulaic, and I've seen it. It's nothing new. It's not that it's bad that it's nothing, because I'll still watch my favorite shows again, you know what I mean? Like, but you know.
That's what you're gonna get from MCU movies,
I
though. That's what the
know.
genre is.
I know, but
you can't go away from it. Or what happens is like Multiverse of Madness, where they went more of a horror type, and people hated it.
Well, I feel like with maybe they just made it poorly. I feel like Marvel fans aren't like, you know, this like one-minded, like one-celled, you know, like action, you know. Obviously, like, you know, they're people. People crave complexity, you know. It can't just be this all the time. And with the budget with the monopoly that that Marvel is, they can afford to take some risks. They have the money, they have the budget, you know. Like, they should do something new, you know. But you know,
I mean, but having a female main character
that was okay. Like,
that should have happened a long time
right,
ago. By the way,
I'm saying. It's like now it's hard, not just with Marvel, with every company, to know that if they're just doing it for like the virtue signaling points, or just like
it feels like there are no original stories anymore.
But that's why I'm putting it a little down. And if you agree with me, could we go maybe?
I do have to say, because it's a superhero movie, it comes from the comics. If they go off of the comics a little bit, or they do go off of the comics, but it's based on the comic stories.
Right.
So it's not like they made this whole story from scratch.
But they've definitely taken different directions before with the movies. I'm not saying they completely change the story, but I think there should be something different to it, you know? Like, there should be a spin on it. If they're able to take it, like, with Thor, if that's Love and Thunder, again, like, it was done so terribly, but it was, you know, it was different.
Okay, I'm gonna say I want to keep it above a 90, so 91.
I'll cede 90.
Great. So our official score is 91.
90. Perfect. All right. So, I think that wraps up today's episode.
Stay tuned for more Tomatastic content from Operation Tomatometer on Apple Podcasts, and check out the Classic and Classic Critic on Instagram and TikTok page at Townsend Harris Classic to see our bloopers, behind the scenes, and other cool projects we are working on. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Thanks for watching.
Bye. See you next